What's going on, everyone? It's Mike back again, and Everton have just lost 1-0 to Newcastle. Goal by Almiron, a player that I said would be dangerous. He scores a good goal. Scores a good goal. It's a good play by Newcastle. Build up on the edge of the box, lay it off to him, calls it top bins. You can't fault the goal. The performance was completely lacklustre from Everton, and it's 3 defeats on the bounce. I just want to put some context though. We've literally played 3 of the current top 6 in that run. So, look, I am by no stretch of anyone's imagination on the floor. My issue is the attack. There is no attack. There is no creative player in the middle of the park. Gordon and Demarai Gray. Demarai Gray tonight, at times, did try to put the ball in the box. There was certainly one opportunity at the start of the second half. Ball comes to Iwobi, he completely misses it. He's 6 yards out. He should be doing something with it, but he doesn't. That's a Demarai Gray pullback. And Demarai Gray, when that happens, you can't fault him because he's beat his man. He's delivered the ball. Somebody needs to score. But there's never enough players in the box. There's never any Everton player following up, because what then happened is the ball rolls across the box, and you expected, in the old days, Seamus Coleman would be on the edge of the 18-yard box smashing it in, or, you know, you'd have your other winger, Gordon, he'd be picking the ball up and shooting. But he's already in the box, on the other side of the box, in a completely redundant position, and they're bringing the ball out. Newcastle are bringing the ball out and they're countering, and you know, it's poor. There's the lack of anything going forward is actually scary. We started with Calvert-Lewin today, a decision that I fully backed. The only person I would have at the start of the game I did say that I wouldn't have played was Onana. I would have brought in James Garner from the start. I felt like Onana tried to get on the ball more, but we just look dejected going forward. We look like we've got no clue about how to go forward. We don't press very well. When we press in twos, which means we're always leaving that third man. So if you're playing a triangle, by the second pass, they've beat 2 players. So two people are out the game. So all of a sudden Everton are down to 8 outfield players playing 10. And this happens time and time again. It happened against Manchester United, it happened against Spurs, and it happened against Newcastle tonight. A well-drilled, well-oiled machine that just keep getting results. And Everton didn't lay a glove on Newcastle tonight. They had one shot. It wasn't on target. There was a ball coming from a corner. Calvert-Lewin sticks it over the bar with a header. You know, maybe in 2 or 3 weeks he gets them on target, but you know, he doesn't look the complete Louis yet, fair enough. But there is no creative player that is on the overlap or putting the ball in the box or trying to make something in the middle of the park. And, you know, when you think about it, we've had James Rodriguez, we've had Gylfi Sigurdsson, we've had even a Wayne Rooney who would try and link up a play or make a pass. Nothing's happening. We are relying so much on our defence to keep us out of trouble, and albeit we are only conceding a goal, we're not scoring. And, you know, if Everton could score goals, we might have got a point against Manchester United. We might have beat Leeds. We might have beat Brentford, because, you know, when we're 1-1, maybe we push home and we get that second. Maybe when they're pushing, we make it 2-0, etc. So, in my opinion, and this is, I'm being straight, if we genuinely were offered £40 to £60 million in the summer for Anthony Gordon, I have no idea why we didn't sell. No, I haven't got a clue. And that's me not digging him out, by the way. He's very hot-headed. One thing I will say tonight, he causes his own problems. He's going to be very much a confidence player. When he's very confident, he'll be great. When he's not feeling himself, you're going to know. there's all these issues behind the scenes regarding contract talks and rumours about 100 grand salaries and that. He's nowhere near that, if that is what he's truly commanding. He's nowhere near that. There is a massive hole in that final third between Onana and Iwobi, Damari Gray and Gordon and Calvert-Lewin. And that's because we're playing three in the middle that are flat. They're flat, they're in a line. None of them are ordinarily attacking players. You can argue that Iwobi is. I get what everyone will say. Iwobi is an attacking player. He's not quick enough in the Premier League. He's not quick enough. So he plays well. He's got the energy. He's got energy. He's got tenacity. He will look up. He's got that little moment. Good feet. But he's not quick enough carrying a ball, or he hasn't got the vision to open the door. He just hasn't. And this is not a criticism of arguably our most improved player under Frank Lampard. So I'm not sitting here criticising him, but he just isn't that player. If you play him as a midfielder, as a 6 or an 8, he is a good player. Like, he is a good player, but he's not that 8 pushing on to be a 10. He's not that at all. The substitutions tonight, bringing James Garner on, bringing Calvert-Lewin off, then going long ball. So you're going long ball when you're bringing on Malpay, who's probably a foot shorter than Calvert-Lewin. Doesn't make sense. And I know Lewin was blowing out of his backside, I get it. And it was a gamble starting him, etc. But it just doesn't make sense. None of this makes sense. And the longer I sit here watching it, it is turgid. It is absolutely horrendous. The football is so bad. Mikalenko, defensively, is usually all right. The last couple of games, I feel like he's been found out. Going forwards, he's non-existent. Patterson, when he is fit, walks into this team over Coleman. And it's unfair for me to dig out Coleman because he shouldn't be in this team. He shouldn't be in this team. And I think he probably knows that, if I'm being brutally honest, because he has always been a professional. But he is nowhere near a starting right back in the Premier League. He just isn't. There was moments tonight where I thought Tarkowski and Cody, again, were well organised, well drilled. But they can only do so much. We've been done by decent football and the inability to attack Newcastle. And, you know, I'm not one of these fans that have this weird hatred for Newcastle. And equally, there's a lot of Newcastle fans that have this weird hatred towards Everton. I'm not one of them because I try not to hate any team. Like, I really don't. I try to give constructive criticism and feedback and everything. And Newcastle are just better than us. And when you look at where they were this time last season, Eddie Howe's done a sensational job. Yes, they've got the money. Yes, they've got all this support, etc. But they have done a brilliant job. And there's no getting around that. So all you need is a bit of money, a bit of worthy and clever investment, and you're fine. You know, I just don't. I don't. That they have jumped light years and they've spent well. They've spent well. They've brought in players who have got that little bit of ability where they need it, and they've also had good coaching with players that have developed. I mean, it's funny really because the amount of us, including myself, that were all for not getting Eddie Howe as a manager, and actually he has done a phenomenal job with Newcastle and deserves all the credit. So, yeah, I mean, I have no positives. I have no positives. The only thing I would say is we're back at home. We're back playing a team that I like to think we can get a result against. I'm not saying Crystal Palace are mugs by any stretch of anyone's imagination. They've got far more creativity in the middle of the park. They've got a complete side. Everton have this really weird balance in balance between attack and defence. Defence, they have truly got 8 players, and the 3 that are up front haven't been good enough. And you can absolutely say that because we haven't. been horrendous defensively. At one point we had the best defensive record, and we're not scoring anywhere near enough goals. And it's the way that we're set up. We really do need... We need more like a holding midfielder and an actual number 8 and somebody creative, somebody who has got that bit of ability. And it's not cheap. It's not cheap, but honestly, we need something, because this Everton side is blunt. It is blunt. It is, out of all the knives in the world, this isn't like a samurai sword or anything like that. This is a baby's butter knife. Like, this has got nothing. It's not going anywhere. And while we have that, we are not going to cause anybody any problems. The home crowd at Goodison will help. We are 1 point above the drop. I think Wolves now sit on, I'm sure they're 18th on 9 points, and we are 14th or 15th on 10 points. Leeds are a point behind us, I think, but have 2 games in hand. So, yeah, we need to start booking up our ideas. We need to start scoring goals. We need to find a way. Lampard has to find a way of getting the balance right. And at this point, I like Lampard, and I am at this point, I'm still backing him, no problem. But I don't know if you have this issue with an experienced manager. I think they would have enough know-how about the game, about the way that football's managed and teams play and tactical. I think if you did have let me throw some random names, a David Moyes, or a Pep Guardiola, or anyone who's got 10, 15 years experience managing football teams, they probably set up more balanced. And at the minute, Lampard, it appears to be, he's going into every game hoping to win 1-0 on a counter-attack while setting up really defensive. This is worse football than anything I watched under Sam Allardyce. And that isn't a criticism of Frank. This is a half-built team that he's 3 or 4 windows behind where it should be. It's had millions of pounds spent on it, and this is where we are. This is what happens when you give people the money gun and they just spray it all over the place on nothing particularly valuable. This is the mess that's created. So, look, while we are in this mess, we have to take each game as it comes. Every 3 points is massive. And we've got a run of fixtures now where we need to get results, i.e. Palace, Fulham, Bournemouth. I'm sure there's Leicester in there somewhere. We have to, because if we don't, then we get dragged into a relegation battle. And we all know what that's like. Every single one of us saw it last season. We were all part of it. We all experienced it. You know, I will never, ever, ever forget the atmosphere away at Norwich last season. You know, where Finlay, my 9-year-old boy, is hearing all sorts of stuff. Directed a horrendous manager in Rafa Benitez. You can't just fix how bad we were. I get that. But these 3 games now, this is the moment to wake up. This is the moment to go, right, we need to attack more. How are we going to do that with what we've got? It could be we bring in some of the under-23s, under-21s. These under-23s, albeit, look, they're playing a heartily poor side. They scored 6 goals. They scored 6 goals. They've got something. Some of them have got something. Give them 10 minutes. Let's see if they can create something. Can they create a chance, carry the ball forward? Can they pick a pass? You know, these people are tenacious. Just give them a chance. I do think we need to see a bit more of something, because at the minute, we haven't got it. The problem is, I don't know where we get it from. Because I look at the squad and I truly believe we need to get to the January transfer window and we need to strengthen. We absolutely need a very, very good winger. And in my opinion, we need a very, very good creative number 10 of some type. I know who I would go after. You know, I would be genuinely looking at players who have got a bit of pace, a little bit of aggression, an eye for goal, and a pass. I think there's plenty of them in the Championship. And the reason why I go straight to the Championship is because they know English football, so there's none of that, you know, this foreign adapting stuff, which is used as an excuse and whatever. So there's none of that. They have to get used to the Premier League, but they're trained their whole life to play in the Premier League. So, you know, these lads are there or thereabout, and there's a lot of decent players in that Championship. So that's where I go. It's just shit. It's just shit. And, you know, I could sit here and lose my head like the old videos. I could absolutely lose my head and, you know, I could sit here and criticise the team over and over again. But the facts are, at the start of the season, and this is horrible to say, I probably don't expect us to go away to Newcastle and win. Or, most I'd hope is a point. I don't expect us to go to Spurs and win. I probably expect and hope a point. You know, I'll probably expect us to get a point against Manchester United at home. I expect us to get a point against Chelsea at home. Probably expect us to lose against Villa. And it's horrible hearing myself say this because we are Everton Football Club and we should be ambitious, we should be strong, we should be, you know, saying we're going to be competing for Europe and titles and all of that magical stuff that we haven't done in years now. But we're nowhere near that. We are absolutely nowhere near that. And the sooner we get to 40 points, the better. That'll be home games. If Everton can just go and win 7 or 8 of their home games and pick up the odd point away from home, with where we are at the minute, I take it. Because we absolutely just need to stay up and have another summer, have another January to rebuild. And look, if in time Lampard isn't experienced enough for this challenge, I'm not going to slag him off. I'm not going to sit here and slag Frank Lampard off. Tactically, at times he's naive. He gets it wrong. Sometimes he says things, certainly in his press conferences, that narc me a little bit. But he's got my full backing because he was dealt a really, really, really shit hand last season. And I was very honest and I was convinced we were going down in February and we stayed up. I like to think we're not going down this season. So I trust him to keep us up. And by keeping us up, I want to see some progression as well. So I want to see us finishing 13th, 14th. It's not massive progression, but it's in the right direction. This team needs goals, and he needs to find them, and it's not easy to go and do that. So that's what he needs to do. Guys, look, it's been a long match reaction, and, you know, I could sit here and crucify the team, but I really don't want to. So we move on. Match preview for Palace. Technically, it's meant to be tomorrow, but I'd rather watch the press conference first. But we'll see. Guys, keep smiling. It will get better.